Hello learners, this is Habiba with Excel with me. If you like the video, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Let's start today's class, that is research in education. The main topic is variables. Today we are going to learn the meaning of concepts, constructions and variables and indicators. Let's start with the introduction. Concepts and variables are mental images. Concepts are highly subjective and cannot be measured unless they are operationalized, while variables can be measured on one of the statistical scales. So concepts are broader in understanding and the variables are narrower. So within the context of a research investigation, concepts are generally referred to as variables. Let's understand in detail about first variables. What is a variable actually? A variable is, as the name applies, something that varies. That means that is not constant. It varies in point of time. Then variable is derived from the Latin term variabilis, that is, it is a word that represents that which varies, just now we understood, or is subject to some kind of change. That means whatever changes happens, it is not constant. If it is changing, that means that is a variable. So what is the definition of variable in research? Let's understand. A variable is any property, a characteristic, a number or a quantity that increases or decreases over time or can take on different values in different situations. So obviously it is a property, maybe thing or character, human beings or animals, or a number or a quantity that can increase or decrease over a period of time. Different values are there in different situations, so that is a variable. Now let's see the examples of variables here. Age, that means from birth to till death, whatever age categories are there, we can take them as variables. Then sex, male, female, transgender, etc. Then export, income and expenses, family size, country of birth, capital expenditure, class grades, blood pressure readings, pre-operative anxiety levels, eye color and vehicle type. So these are all the examples of variables. A few examples, not all, a few examples to understand. Above all are variables because each of these properties varies or differs from one individual to another. Obviously, they are not at all constant or same. They change from individual to individual. Now let's understand what is a concept. The concept is a name given to a category that organizes observations and ideas by their positions of common features. So concept is a broader term. It's a category which can organize some observations or some ideas, and number of observations and ideas which have the common features. Now let's see the definition. Concepts are categories for the organization of ideas and observations. It's a simple definition we can understand easily, given by Böhmer, 1984. Now if a concept is to be employed in quantitative research, it will have to be measured. Obviously quantitative means which are measurable. Statistical things are applied here, statistical method. Once they are measured, concepts can be in the form of independent or dependent variables. We will understand about dependent and independent variables when we discuss in the next class related to types of variables. Now we need to understand just that concept can be employed in a quantitative research that can be measured. Once they are measured, those concepts can be in the form of independent or dependent variable. In other words, concepts may be explained as explanatory variable. Explanatory research we have understood of a certain aspect of the social world, or they may stand for things we want to explain, that is depending on somebody, that is dependent variable. Now let's see the examples of concepts. Social mobility, religious orthodoxy, social class, culture, lifestyle, academic achievement, and number of concepts are there which can be categorized as examples of concepts. That means they are broader, they are not in single thing. Now let's understand what is a construct. A construct is an abstraction or concept that is deliberately invented or constructed by a researcher for a scientific purpose. So it's a abstraction or a concept deliberately the researcher will develop here in a scientific manner, scientific purpose. In a scientific theory, particularly within psychology, a hypothetical construct is an explanatory variable that is not directly observable, which we cannot directly observe. Hypothetical construct, that means we are assuming things here. For example, the concepts of intelligence, we cannot see the intelligence, but we can measure through some indicators, and motivation also we cannot see through our naked eyes. Intelligence and motivation are used to explain phenomena in psychology, but neither is directly observable. Now let's see the definition of hypothetical construct. A hypothetical construct is a concept for which there is not a single observable referent, which cannot be directly observed, and for which there exist multiple referents but none all inclusive. So multiple referents will be there to examine this intelligence or hypothetical construct given by Cronbach and Meehl in the year 1955. For example, according to Cronbach and Meehl, a fish is not a hypothetical construct because despite variation in species and varieties of fish, there is an agreed upon definition for a fish with specific characteristics that distinguish a fish from bird. Furthermore, fish can be directly observed here even after having so many species in fish here. So let's see the examples of constructs here. Intelligence or knowledge, emotions, personality, moods. So these are directly we cannot observe, but through some measures we can do the scientific research here. Now let's see the term indicator. An indicator is a measure that is employed to refer to a concept. When no direct measure is available, we use indicators to tap concepts that are less directly quantifiable. When we cannot see the things here, what we will do? We will have some indicators. To understand what an indicator is, it is worth making a distinction between a measure and indicator. An indicator can be taken to refer to things relatively unambiguously counted, such as income, age, number of children, etc. So measures, in other words, are quantities. If we are interested in some of the causes of variation in income, the latter can be quantified in a reasonably direct way. Now we use indicators to tap concepts that are less directly quantifiable. That means if we are interested in the causes of variation in job satisfaction, we will need indicators that will stand for the concept. These indicators allow job satisfaction to be measured, and we can treat the resulting quantitative information as if it were a measure. An indicator then is something that is devised or already exists, and that is employed as though it were a measure of a concept. It is viewed as an indirect measure of a concept like job satisfaction. An IQ is a further example in that it is a battery of indicators of the concept of intelligence. So let's conclude this topic. Concepts are subjective impressions and their understanding will differ from person to person, which if measured would cause problems in comparing responses. Now concepts should be converted into variables so that they can be measured. Although on different scales, same variable will have different precisions. If the researcher is using some concepts in his research, he needs to find out some indicators that are reflective of these concepts. These indicators can be chosen subjectively by the researcher, but they should have a logical link with the concept. Now the indicators can then be converted into variables, obviously. Now let's see the example. How rich someone can be. To measure this concept, you need an indicator. Obviously, you cannot see the person and judge or assume. You need an indicator, and you can measure someone's richness from his wealth that he possesses. That is, this wealth can be in the form of his income, money in his bank accounts, owned houses or other property, and so on. So we come to the end of this session. If you liked the class, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Thanks for your attention and time. Happy learning.